Sets up deep in the pocket. Goes down the field for Smith.
Has some time. Touchdown!
Steps up, does it. Pass is caught. That'll move the six. Tyrone Tracy. There he goes. Tracy. Towards the end zone for the Iowa touchdown.
We are back for the recap. I am Corey with the Go Blue Wolverines and none other than Christopher May. Gentlemen, what a great, what an interesting week for college football here in the Big Ten. Full of controversy, debate, debacles. Where do we even start? Should we start with Wolverines?
I want to pick up where I missed. Anyone that might watch this, I was unfortunately, and I probably look like garbage. What did you guys say about the Harbaugh suspension? What were your guys' thoughts that I missed on?
Well, I thought for sure it was. Yeah, it was. How do you suspend a coach for the remainder of the season after he's already on the bus heading to the game he's supposed to coach? You can't even do a courtesy of 24 hours. You know what I mean? And I'm curious as to when did Harbaugh or the University of Michigan found out about the suspension versus when the media found out to it. Did Harbaugh know in advance that this was coming on Thursday? And then they, did it for, I don't know. I thought it was, I don't know.
I mean, if they really wanted to hurt Michigan and Harbaugh, like I brought it up to Corey, they would have kept Harbaugh on the sideline and pulled all his staff off.
Oh, did you?
Nope, that was me. He's
sorry.
It would have been Harbaugh and the medical staff, and Harbaugh would have had to have been special teams coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. They probably still would have won, but I mean, for fucking just to get rid of him for that, I don't know, it's silly because they've done it before. They've already done this. Like the first 4 weeks, they played pity pat rotation on who gets to be acting head coach. So,
What was your reaction when you first heard about it Friday? You're the reaction I was curious about.
I mean, honestly, no, I wouldn't. I don't put anything past the Big Ten, man. I don't put anything past any of these big conferences. They're sneaky and they have their own agendas and what they want to do. And, I don't think they think about stuff like that. If anything, they probably wait last minute just to get the headline out there even bigger than it was, than it could have been. So I don't put anything past the commissioner. I don't put anything past anyone who voted on this in the Big Ten. I'm sure you had a few universities within the conference
voted on this.
Like whoever's decisions it was to bring this down. So I don't know if it was just the commissioner of the Big Ten that single-handedly did this, or if they had like a board vote. I don't know how they made this decision, and I'm sure you had some universities that were like, dude, we don't care, like whatever. And then you probably had the majority of them pushing to have him suspended or have some sort of repercussions done right now, right away.
That's the rumors going on is the Big Ten commissioner was getting his feet lit on fire from the Big Ten teams being like, you got to do something right now. We can't wait for the NCAA. That's why it was so soft when he came down with the 3-game suspension, because it was to appease, I think, the Big Ten, but it was to show that they're taking this serious. They're taking this matter seriously. But I don't know. I mean, you haven't heard anything from anybody else now that he's done that, and I think it's just kind of calmed the waters for a minute, because, but if you're Michigan, you're like, oh, so fuck us, right? Like, shit on us, don't give us a chance to defend ourselves, or because they did it on what, Friday, Corey? Is that what we talked about?
Yeah, it
So
was
the
Friday.
Friday dump, you got Veterans Day on Saturday. Like, it was just kind of sneaky, that the Big Ten dropped this. I would say bombshell, but it's more like a cherry bomb in a toilet. It's not, nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
Well, and I think they pretty much guaranteed, because I think the way they thought it, like, let's handicap Michigan for the remainder of the season. If they lose to Ohio State and they don't go to the Big Ten championship, with the way the rest of the conferences are playing out, they're not going to go to the college football playoffs, most likely. You'd have to have some losses in some other leagues, namely the ACC and the Pac-12. And I don't think Michigan moves forward. If we lose the Ohio State game, then I think that's the end of our season now. So I mean, it probably would have been either way, but they handicapped us for literally our biggest 3 games of the season. Even though Maryland's been a little bit down, lately, but I would say those were the best 3 teams we played all season, and yeah. So I mean, we'll talk about the game here in a minute, but yeah, it was a little. I mean, it was shitty as a fan, obviously, but it didn't surprise me necessarily that the Big Ten decided to do that.
It surprised me on a Friday. Like, you figured this be a Monday.
The timing of it was a little surprising. Maybe even doing it within the season was surprising. This is something that I could have seen coming as after the season was over, but.
But on the other hand, y'all shouldn't be surprised, because you've done this already. Like, once the news came down that, the only thing that has changed from the first 4 games to these last 3 are the opponents. Like, Michigan has already shown, they had Mr. CIA with the first 4 games, that probably really helped keep things tight. But you bet your ass all those teams that they're playing they are scouted to a T. There's got a folder with their names on it, and Herman Moore or whoever the hell, and they can all cry at the post game, being like, "I did this for Jim. I did this for Jim." Like, okay, but I don't think Michigan. I do get what you say though. Like, if Michigan loses to Ohio State, it's gonna, like, you're definitely, of course, gonna hear, "Oh, well, you suspended Harbaugh. You fucked us." Like.
Oh, can you imagine if they lose to Ohio State now?
Mm-hmm.
It won't be. Yeah, it won't be good from Michigan fan base. Does Harbaugh leave? Does Michigan leave the Big Ten because of this?
No, they're a staple of the Big Ten. I don't think they're going to leave because of this. I mean, where would they go? Imagine if they join the SEC. Jesus Christ, dude. So then you get Michigan to join the SEC. You literally take one of the top 2 teams from the Big Ten away from the Big Ten in terms of probably not only income that it brings the conference, but also fan base, size, and lately skill of team. In basketball in the last 20 years, they've been one of the better teams as well. So yeah, dude, it would not only would that hurt the Big Ten a lot, but I don't think Michigan would actually do that. I think they enjoy where they're at in the conference. The SEC would have to offer them ridiculous amounts of money for them to want to do that. And then you're getting into the waters of, now does the SEC try to snipe off Ohio State, and then you just cripple the Big Ten, and the Big Ten, now we just make that giant super conference, and then Iowa and Nebraska join like the Atlantic coast, or like,
watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
So I don't know. So I don't think that happens. I think that's just like
I'd like to go to the MAC, by the way. The MAC. That's where I'd like to go.
Yeah, it's probably about where.
Yeah.
I think
Big West.
Nebraska could thrive in the MAC. I think they would do great. Basketball, they'd have automatic bids every year. So, no, but for real though, I think I don't think they'll do that. I mean, Michigan, Iowa, Nebraska. I know Nebraska is a little newer than the other two, but just those teams that have been there for at least 2 decades or so now. It's hard. I don't think any of those teams are going to leave. So
the money's 1A, so you'd be
and
if you're gonna move, you're gonna go to the SEC. But
the SEC is the only move you could make, or somehow independent. But I don't know how that's going to work anymore with the way these conferences are. So Notre Dame's the only one I think that can be successful at that.
Florida State
been doing it so long.
Florida State came out and said they could go independent because they hired a law firm and an accounting firm to see if they could do what Notre Dame has done. And Florida State was like, yeah, in today's world, you got to get a tad creative. But they were like, it could be done. Because, remember, they wanted to leave the ACC at the beginning of the year, but they're in that terrible TV or conference rights where they're stuck in that thing for the next 10 years or something stupid.
And you can do it in just football. You can do what Notre Dame is. Notre Dame's in the ACC and basketball and other sports still. It's just their football program that is independent. So, so I think there's options of what they can do and what they want to do. I think UConn is the same thing. UConn's an independent team, but their basketball is in the Big East still, which doesn't exist in football. But yeah, so I don't know. It was weird news. Obviously shitty as a fan. I think our football program is good enough and our coaches have been under Harbaugh long enough that we shouldn't have an issue against Maryland. I would assume maybe some differences between Ohio State, but you can best believe that Jim's going to be on the phone with these fuckers for the next 2 weeks, or at least coaching them up as best he can to.
And he's only
try to have them
from
coach
the sidelines.
Yeah,
so he can be at every meeting and practice and all that stuff.
Yeah, no, I get. Yeah, and he's gonna make sure these games are called just as if he was on the sideline. These are gonna be. I wouldn't be surprised if Jim hands these guys a fucking notebook that says 4th and 2 on this yard line. This is exactly what you're going to fucking run, you son of a bitch.
Hey, I saw it all over TikTok about the Penn State game that they were like, you bet your ass that Michigan knew this was coming and they've already had things in plan. And it went there was one guy, I'll have to find him and send it to the group, but he broke it down perfectly and was like, I guarantee you this Michigan Penn State game will go rocky for a minute, just to show the shakiness of the situation, but it's just a facade. It's all just eaten out of the breadcrumbs. And, Harbaugh, Michigan has had this already dialed in for fucking, months. They just, like you said, there's each chapter to the story. They just pull out the chapter of the Penn State because that's when that's when everybody pressed play on this chaos. And, you could make a movie on this shit, and I hope one day somebody does, because it just would be wild to see it all come just out.
If Michigan wins a championship this season, I could see it being turned into a documentary, like a 1 hour, 60-minute documentary. Especially if Harbaugh leaves right after the season, I could see someone making a documentary of these last 3 or 4 years, or just under Jim, Jim's tenure as head coach, and then all the controversy that they could put with it. So
you definitely he's not coming back. There's no way. You're not going to drag me through the mud, because right now he's got 2 different scandals going on. You can't forget that first scandal with the cheeseburger is still it's still active case.
Cheeseburger.
So I don't. Yeah, I could see Jim leaving for.
He's going to be Chicago Bears head coach.
Oakland or
Las Vegas or fucking Atlanta.
Harbaugh in Vegas.
He's got a lot of options. He's got a lot of options for sure. And
so you agree that Harbaugh's gone after this year? No doubt.
I think I'm 50-50 on it right now. I'm 50-50 on it. So we'll see.
If we lose
to Ohio State, he's gone. If we beat Ohio State and he comes back, and we play the next week cupcake game against whoever comes out of the fucking West, and then we walk through, and then we go to
400 yards, Iowa. That cupcake? That's
And
gonna be
then
a
we
little bristle.
and then we go to the football playoffs, and depending on if we're one and done again, or if we play first round and we're out, I think he's still a high chance if we leave. If we get to the championship, I think the farther he goes this season, the more of a chance he comes back, all the way up until if he can hoist the trophy, he might say, you know what, I'll take whatever additional ban the NCAA gives me. Michigan will pay him whatever he wants. And especially if especially if he can win it this season. Because I think so. And I had this thought yesterday. How much do you guys think? Now, obviously, having like your Nick Saban, your those kind of type of guys on the sideline is huge for your teams. Like these guys are staples for your team. They're the reason your team are what they are. After about week 7, 8, 9, after the team's recruited, after the team's established, after every coach knows what they're doing, after every player knows their role, after you know your identity, well, most teams know their identity by this point. So after all of that, that was
A lot
shots.
of digs, a lot of
Yeah.
shots.
So
No,
anyway, so after your teams know your
You're
identity,
like Nebraska's volleyball team. Just
after your coaches know what they're doing, after your players are established, after you're a competitive team and you're competing for whatever, whether it's a division, a title, a national, whatever. How much do you think it actually matters that your actual head coach is on the sideline?
I think it doesn't matter. I think it doesn't matter if he's allowed in the side, if he's allowed in the during the week activities and the practices.
So
and
I had this thought yesterday.
matter
Like
at all.
everyone on the team knows their role. Everyone's done these plays a million times in practice. The coaches know exactly how Harbaugh wants the games coached, right? They know what to call when to call this. As long as they're somewhat semi-competent and you know how to call timeouts and
that's the thing. They're the chaos, pulse. Like they're the head coach. Like, yeah, everyone's gonna be conditioned and what they're supposed to do. But if something wild fucking happens and like although you think you're prepared for it, that's where Jim or Saban, whoever is gonna be that calming force and be like, breathe. 32 dash right, 46 zebra.
Yes. And that's really the only benefit because you can clearly see the assistant coaches for Michigan are emotional train wrecks.
Yeah, like
that was embarrassing. I was embarrassed when that dude started bawling at the end of the game.
Bawling.
I was like, bro. I was like, bro. I was like, did this man's son die today? I don't understand why.
The way that they all acted, like you would have thought fucking Petit
like,
slayed Harbaugh. You like you didn't think it was like like it was ISIS. They executed him on live TV.
Dude, I was watching that and I was like, what is this guy doing, bro? Like that was a little rough. That dude needs to get talked to because like that was embarrassing.
Well, that's what pisses me off is because everyone on Twitter then's like, "Oh, Michigan's look at the heart, look at the fight. These guys care and love for it." It's like, God, shut the fuck up. That coach right there is a pussy. Like he probably lets his wife peg him. Like, why are you crying for another grown man because you won a football game? Stop it. You did your job. You're hired to do that job. Herman Moore, right? That's his name, or Herman whatever. He probably makes, what, 500, 600,000 to call the offense? I would expect you to.
Well, he's offensive line coordinator as well. So he's offensive coordinator and offensive line coach.
So he probably gets paid more because their offensive line has always been a treasure. So I'm paying my offensive line coach.
I made fun of Caleb Williams for doing the same thing. And that was
dunk on him.
That was bad. I don't.
Are they going to make him head coach with Harbaugh leaves? You put him in the head coach role. I mean, that could be your future head coach. That exciting.
So I think the real problem that comes when Harbaugh leaves, recruiting is going to take a hit. I'm more worried about future teams. I'm less concerned about the current state of affairs that we have now. I think we'll perform just about the same as we would have if he's on the sideline for the remainder of the games, but it's more future term stuff that's going to be, I think, more effective if he decides to leave. So
listen, as a team that was glorious in the past and still hangs on to that, get your national championship now so we could talk about it in 15 years, being like, man, remember when we ran? We were dominant. Because when Harbaugh does leave, you could promote your coordinators, or like you're not going to get Lane Kiffin. You're not going to get the next splashy person, I don't think. I don't even know who that person is, because usually you've got 3 or 4 people that you hear of that are like, okay. I mean, unless you could pull like Charles Woodson from analyst to head coach and do like a Dion thing, it's just going to be Michigan. They'll probably settle back down a little bit, and they'll still be good. They'll still be what other teams want their teams to be.
What if we hired Brian Ferentz?
Oh, I'd be down
to lead Michigan, and then what would be crazy is they'd have like the #1 offense, and you'd be like, what the fuck?
They would not. I can guarantee you that. I don't even worry about that. That's a universe that doesn't exist, my friend.
Okay, so I think we're good on Jim. The game itself, did that game go about how you guys thought it would go? I mean, we were up by 15 with like a few minutes left, and then we let them score a touchdown at the end, kind of just march down the field and score a touchdown, and they missed the 2-point conversion, which I also think they should have not gone for at that point. I think it was
typical Penn State, where they were competitive. I would say probably through the first half at least, but they're just not.
I think they made two big mistakes. I think the first big mistake, one thing that I'd like to point out is we didn't have a pass attempt in the second half. We both ran the ball. We did have JJ did throw it twice, but there was penalties on both plays. One was a pass interference, one was like a hold, so they didn't count technically as pass attempts.
2 passes.
But I think Penn State made 2 mistakes, in my opinion, and both came in the second half, and I think they were both coaching mistakes. The way their team was playing in the fourth quarter, they were actually playing really good defense on us. Like, we hadn't run the ball. We were just gonna fucking run it down. Or I'm sorry, we hadn't thrown the ball. We're gonna run it down their throats. There was a little over 4 minutes left in the game. They were like, it was like 4th and like 7 or 8 or something like that, and they went for it on their own 30-yard line. I think that was a mistake. I think they should have punted the ball away. They still had 2 timeouts. They had 4 minutes left, and we had just gone 3 and out like 2 times in a row. So I think that was a huge coaching mistake from him, because the very next play after that, Blake Corum ran a 30-yard touchdown, and he just broke through, ran a touchdown, and now we're up 2 scores. Now we're up, the 8. Now we're up 15 points. So that was a huge mistake. And then when they did go down and score their touchdown at the very end, and they had about 2 minutes left. Now, I don't know what the analytics say to do this. I think you kick the extra point. It's still an 8-point game, because the problem with going for 2 and not getting it is now you're still down by 2 scores, and your team knows that. If you kick the extra point, you still have a little bit of a fire under your guys saying like, yo, we're only down by 1 score. Now you just did all this work to score a touchdown, and you have to go out there and say, we have to do it 2 more times. And that's too much. Like, that's too much to ask of these kids. You have to, like, you hit the extra point, then you can literally say, we're only 1 score away. Like, we're, take it one at a time. I'm sure analytics probably say go for the 2 early, but I think for more morale.
No, you go for the possession score.
You go for the extra point. Yeah, you go for the extra point. You make it a 1-score game.
Yeah. I think you got to execute. You got to quit making these kids become pussies. Execute your assignment and score.
You think I didn't see the 2-point conversion play or what happened, So
I didn't see it either, because I was stuck on Peacock, so it takes an hour and a half to get over to all the other channels. But I know Franklin got beat up bad for it in the press conference.
Well, I listened to a guy call into the Hawkeye show after the game, and he was saying, that's the problem with Franklin, is that he always has to be the smartest coach on the field.
Yep.
And it bites him in the ass all the time. And it's, and a move like that makes that's not football. No, what football IQ is that? where you go for 2 when you know the extra point gets you in a 1-possession game.
1-possession game, yeah.
You know, and is it the fact that you're playing Michigan that you just feel like, hey, I've got to get it? You know, I don't.
That's the other side of it. That's what I think, because I think a lot of those teams, you almost have nothing to lose, and you're like, fuck it. We're supposed to lose this game anyways, but if we can shock the world and beat Michigan, let me try to get creative. And then if you fail, at the back of your mind, you're thinking, well, we were going to lose anyways. All y'all didn't give us a chance. So
a smart play would have been is to come out in your 2-point conversion, you know, see what Michigan comes out, take a penalty, and then kick your field goal. And then then you already know what the game plan for when it comes time for your 2-point conversion.
So the 2-point conversion attempt was, I forget the actual name of the play, but it's the one where 50% of your team all flanks to one side.
Oh.
So you only have 2 people. You have a center hiking the ball. You have a guy in the backfield.
I do remember seeing
that. Oh my God, that is the worst one.
That's what they did for the 2-point conversion. And he threw it. The receiver didn't even touch the ball. It was when he threw the ball, our guy's hand touched the ball and knocked it out of the receiver's hand. That's how the play happened. As soon as he snapped it, he was already scrambling like, oh fuck, no one's open. That's what that's what they called.
I'm punching my offense coordinator in the face. What are you doing? Like that is check, razor. I'm bringing it. Call timeout. Punish me for challenging your stupidity is how I would look at that. I would.
Yeah. So that's what they did. I don't know if they thought, oh, we're gonna trick them here with this, but when does that ever work? Like that never works. So
on the win, just
Jesus.
Crazy for your guys to win on the road in this environment when there were doubts. Sherman, what does it mean to you?
I want to thank the Lord.
Oh yeah.
I want to thank Coach Harbaugh.
Thank you.
Love you, man. Love you, man. Love you. For this university, the president, our AD, we got the best players, best university, best.
Who else can I think of right now?
Alumni.
That's so fake.
Love you guys.
You be yelling that dude.
You know Harbaugh.
Police officer, I love you. I love you, police officer.
You know Harbaugh walked away, and he was like, "Oh Jesus Christ!"
From Beavers.
Oh, sorry.
You know Harbaugh's corny ass was the one who was like, Sherman, you gotta cry. At the end, you gotta cry.
Are you gonna look up Penn State 2-point conversion?
I'm looking it up right now. I think this is the touchdown. Can you see it on the screen?
Yeah. So go
on this outside by Theo Johnson. Beautiful job getting to that inside shoulder of Rod Moore, and that was Allerton.
Oh, they're not gonna show
it. Is that it?
No, because it's a 9-point game, so I didn't show it. Go back.
Oh.
See if you can find it in different. No, I don't think. I think it skipped past it.
Yeah, because it wasn't a completion. So it wouldn't be a highlight. Yeah. It'd be a low light.
Just look up Penn State 2-point.
I literally typed it in there. 2-point conversion versus Michigan. I mean, it would be a highlight for Michigan, but you guys keep talking. I'll
it's all good. No, so I think that's pretty much the gist of that game. I mean, it was a game on the ground that we won on the ground, and it's pretty.
Did Michigan cover?
Yeah.
Interesting. They did.
The final line was minus
4.5, right?
Yeah, 4.5. So, and they won by 9. So,
good on you, Michigan.
They were up 50. I mean, we pretty much, I think we just let them have the touchdown at the end. So, so there's another game on. Probably, arguably, the best game of the day in the Big Ten. Did you guys watch any of the Indiana-Illinois game that went to overtime?
I did not. No, I was celebrating the Augustana Vikings winning the Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference.
Find out what division that football was?
Yeah, North Sun Intercollegiate Conference. They are the champs of the NSIC. So congratulations, Augustana. Huge win. Great win for you guys.
If I told you, so the best part about this Indiana-Illinois game, the over was 44.
Mm-hmm.
There was a total of 93 points scored in this game.
Yeah.
48 to 45.
You know,
those teams were capable of scoring that many points.
Indiana's getting it together. This is the second game I think in a row, right? That they've strung back-to-back good games.
You're starting to see these Big West teams who they're going to be next year.
Yeah.
I feel like because Illinois has really nice moments of just they got really nice moments of strength, defense. Indiana, last couple of games hasn't been playing bad football. Northwestern's been playing banger football. So it's interesting, the gel time it took these teams to get, all squared away and figured out. Obviously not going to help them this season, but it'll be interesting to see how they compete next year.
Yeah, so that was a big score game. Indiana covered technically. Illinois won the game, but yeah, I was surprised to see that game, such a high scoring game. Every time I turned back the scores, I was like, Jesus, they keep this for twice each again. So that was kind of an interesting one. Purdue beat up on Minnesota, 49-30.
I was just going to say in that game, 507 yards Paddock threw for Illinois.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's the quarterback? Paddock?
Paddock, 24 of 36.
For Illinois? Did they get rid of Altmaier?
I'm not sure if he got injured because I think Paddock's been in there for a minute.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Because that's who Illinois has been running with. Is that?
Did you say Purdue?
No, Illinois.
Oh, yeah, Illinois. Yeah.
Yeah, because who's Matt or what'd you say? Paddock? Who does he play for?
John Paddock plays for Illinois.
Yeah.
Yeah, he threw a 21-yard touchdown pass to Isaiah Williams in overtime. That's what gave him the win. Paddock threw for 507 yards and 4 touchdowns in his first start for Illinois since transferring from Ball State. So this was, I don't know, maybe they benched him or something. I don't know what happened. But this was his first start. So I thought he got injured, if I remember correctly, but maybe not.
Luke Altmaier was ruled out against Indiana. Started all 9 games. Let's see, 6-year senior. So yeah, he got injured last game, and then Paddock came in, finished last week's win over. I forget who they played, but
they beat Wisconsin.
No, that was Indiana that beat Wisconsin last week.
Oh, that's him.
They beat Minnesota.
Yeah. Fuck Minnesota. Let's talk about Minnesota.
Speaking about Minnesota, they lost to Purdue.
Oh.
They've been on a downward spiral, They've been on a downward spiral. 49-30.
Cheated their way to a win.
Well, they honestly, ever since they North Carolina beat them, and then they lost to Northwestern, and then they beat an easy Louisiana team, lost to Michigan, and they've just been bad ever since. They did beat an Iowa team, but
debated.
Debated. I think they won the Boar or something like that with that one. So
the pig
Boar. 49-30. I was surprised Purdue won by so much. Actually, that was an interesting score. That was the second highest scoring game of the day.
They had 2 rushers that got over 100 yards. One ex-Iowa Hawkeye Tyrone Tracy Jr. And then Devin Maccabee. And then 3 touchdown passes for Purdue Saturday. Blew them out, really. No chance Minnesota had this game at any point in time.
Yeah, and so that was a rough one. And since we're gonna go ahead and remove May there, but I think he's chatting with someone else. But so we'll get to Nebraska here. We'll get to them. But let's go talk about Wisconsin Northwestern.
This surprised me. Is Northwestern bad? Is that what's going on?
Is Northwestern bad or is Wisconsin bad?
Or Wisconsin. Is Wisconsin bad? Yeah, I mean, because
they were ranked preseason. People thought they were going to be good. What Wisconsin reminds me of? Wisconsin reminds me of, if you guys remember last season, Texas A&M was ranked in the top 10, and then they just sucked all year. And they had the most 5 stars on their team, and they were just.
He's about to get fired too.
So Wisconsin reminds me of last year's Texas A&M. They were highly coveted coming into the season, and then they are just dog water.
Bad.
Like they are bad. They lost at home 24-10 to Wisconsin. I'm pretty sure at one point it was like
They said it's a
24-0.
transition, which I don't understand. I think you backpedal. Like, remember everyone was like, Wisconsin's going to win the West. They're going to win the West. They're going to win. And then even Phil Longo and Shipberg was like, yeah, our team we're going to position ourselves to be really good. And now that they're on this ripper of just a losing streak and they can't win the West, they're like, oh, it's year one. It's year one. Like, calm the brakes.
Just like Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, Wisconsin has the pieces now. Their quarterback situation is very sus. But, Braylon Allen, I think he's – is he a junior? Well, he needs to leave. He needs to leave ASAP because I'm tired of – he's an amazing running back, but I'm just tired of tackling him. But Wisconsin's got the pieces. What pisses me off is just like Maryland. They went on this losing streak, and then Wisconsin's player comes out and pretty much calls the team soft, and they're just pathetic, and we're not where we want to be. They're going to come in and just boat race the shit out of Nebraska because they're so pissed off. They're going to be like, "I'll show you soft. I'll show you weak or whatever." And it's it's going to break my heart.
And kudos to Northwestern. Snapped a 14-game losing streak in true road games.
Yeah,
that's the longest.
I told you Northwestern
division. And then coach David Braun, first Northwestern coach to earn at least 5 wins in his debut season since Walter McCornack went 10-1-3. Guess the year he went 10-1-3.
1803.
They weren't playing football in 1803.
1964.
1964. May, you want another shot?
1952.
1903.
Oh, you just were a decade off there, guy.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
1903. First coach to get 5 wins in his debut season at the University of Northwestern.
Do you think Northwestern retains him? Do you think they pull the interim tag off of him?
I don't know how you couldn't, right? Like, Northwestern could go bowling. If they go bowling, how do you get rid of him?
So Northwestern plays Purdue at home next week. That's a toss-up game, in my opinion, because Purdue just had a great game. And then they play at Illinois. So
I'm going to ride Northwestern to pick up 2 dubs in the season. I mean,
yeah,
they seem to be more well-rounded and coming into form than Purdue, Illinois, like all those other teams. Illinois has had a couple good ones back to back, but
Purdue coming together. You don't think they're coming together? I mean, Minnesota is.
They've had one game where it's all looked sharp, and I think it was this last weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah. They had a good game this week. So yeah, that's good win by Northwestern. I think Wisconsin's turning out to be just bad. I think that's all it is, just bad. We have 3 more games to talk about before we get to the 2 that I really want to talk about. Ohio State just dog-walked Michigan State. I think everyone knew that was going to happen. 38-3. Why was that game the prime game? Why was that at 5:30?
I don't. We talked about this. It's like, what are we doing? Was there a bigger SEC matchup or something that everyone was?
The SEC slate was nice, but it wasn't. They were
blowouts. They were all.
Yeah,
blowouts.
they were all. Yeah,
it was
they were
horrible
all
football over there.
Yeah, so 38-3. That was just Ohio State did cover. We knew that was going to happen. You can't send Michigan State in an away game this year. That's just sad. 2 other games. Which one do you guys want to talk to first? You want to talk about the Hawkeyes?
Let's start off with a sad note here. We'll go Nebraska losing its status as what was it? The true red team.
True red team of the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Maryland's fake as shit. Like Wisconsin's got better red colors than Maryland. So if we lose to Wisconsin, we will not be the true red team.
I don't know. I feel like, Maryland. What happened, May? Because I didn't get to see the game. I don't know what happened.
So Maryland had like 42 penalties for about 1 billion yards. They were the most undisciplined I've ever seen a football team. Worse than Nebraska. Like, yeah, I was like, holy shit, we're gonna win this game. Like, Maryland was so undisciplined, and I don't think had a penalty called against us. We might have had one. Let's see. Harper got hurt, threw a pick. Jeff Sims comes in. I think that motherfucker fumbled once and threw a pick. Like, surprise, surprise. And then we put in Chubba. Everybody has been wanting Chubba to come in there just to see. We put Chubba in. Chubba drives like 90 yards down the field, right, in the fourth quarter. Looks pretty good. Has some moments. You're like, ooh. But comes in. They're like 3rd and goal, right, to win the game. We ran the ball the whole time down the field. Maryland couldn't stop it. We decide to run pretty much a corner to the pylon and then a slant in front of it to suck the defenders over into the middle. Well, I think that freshman wide receiver that ran the slant didn't time it up right, and pretty much Chubba threw this fucking soft ball to the corner of the end zone, and the Maryland corner picked it because there was two defenders over there. It was just 5 what?
Turnovers.
Yeah, 5. Yeah, it was sloppy. It was all 3 quarterbacks came in and turned the ball over for Nebraska. I mean, it was like now everyone talks about, well, is it Nebraska's quarterbacks? Is it Satterfield? How much blame does Rule get because Rule's the head coach? And
what about your O-line? Like, what's going on with your O-line? Do they not pass protect?
We were okay. No, we like.
I didn't know. I didn't know if
we were okay. Like we ran the ball so well. Like this is back-to-back weeks where we've ran the ball really well, and then we've just abandoned it. We're just like, nah, fuck that. Like that doesn't. No, we're gonna try to stay balanced. And I can't remember his name, but he made a great point, and he was like, I wish we could play Iowa football. Like,
who said that?
Great defense, and then know your limitations and expectations of your offense and play within that. Don't go outside of it. Don't get buck wild. Play within your restraints of your offense and let your badass defense fucking get you some. Like, we need to do that. I need to send Matt Rule to spy on Iowa because Iowa's doing it. Iowa doesn't do anything. I mean, yesterday I didn't get to watch it, but normally they play within their system, within their talent, and they don't try to go outside of it. God damn it.
Jeff Sims amazes me that he turns the ball over so much.
Dude, we lead the nation in turnovers.
Yeah,
like he comes back
you every game.
He had 3 again.
Yeah, 3. Yeah.
Dude, he's like a turnover machine.
They panned to him. They caught him on the camera, right? And he's over there like knees bent, hiding by the trash cans. Like he's just like, what the fuck? Like he just looks so broken. I mean, so broken. And I don't know. Like ever since, yeah, it's bad. And then I found out that Satterfield, for the past 3 years, has pretty much led the nation in turnovers. The 2 years in South Carolina and this year in Nebraska, we are almost to the top of turnovers.
And that's really what you've lost. Probably 3 games because of that.
Yeah,
because of mass turnovers.
Yeah, Nebraska could easily be an 8-win team right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like
it's great defense. Can't do it if you're
running game.
And that defense, like I told my mother-in-law, we were watching it. I was like, if I was on that defense, it would take every bit of me not to go over there and just fucking ream somebody on that offensive side. Because we are doing everything we can, and you could tell when Jeff Sims threw that other turnover, they came out and they just looked like, fuck you. Like, we ain't got it, but we'll give you what we got because we know that you need us. And they bucked up, and To lose like that, to lose at the very end, where Maryland just drives, and like Tulia, he's okay. He's not really as impressive as I thought he was. Like watching him, like I thought we did. He had a couple moments, a couple good deep balls, but like for the most part, I thought we did pretty good. Containing him and whatnot. But that last drive, you could just tell the defense had nothing left. I mean, they just chopped us up like goddamn salad. I mean, it was hibachi grill style, and then
How
they
much
kicked
time
that
did
field
they
goal.
have for that drive? You remember? It was like a 2 minutes?
3 minutes.
Oh, so
Yeah, it was. I mean, they
Well,
timed it up perfect. Like we drove down thinking this touchdown was going to be it. It was under like 2 minutes, I want to say, or maybe 3 minutes, but it's just heartbreaking, man. Like it's back-to-back weeks we've played teams that have been on these complete benders of losing streaks, and the atmosphere yesterday was great. The environment, like we were there. It was ready. And then I don't understand what we're doing. Like it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because we're paying Satterfield $1.3 million to call this fucking offense. And everyone's like, wait until he gets his quarterback. Look what he did with Spencer Rattler.
I thought Sims was his quarterback.
No, that was Rule's guy. I guess. I don't know. But I would think if that's Rule's guy, it's Sat's guy. Like they're going to be hand in hand. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I believe Satterfield's not putting these guys in the best situations because if you look at it, all three quarterbacks, they're making very similar mistakes. All three of them. You can't tell me three different type of QBs are making the same identical mistakes. What does that tell you? That tells me coaching is piss poor, right? If you have three different prototypes making the same exact mistake, whose fault is that? Is that the kids or is that coaching? What do you guys think? That kid or coach?
It's coaching.
It's rough. I mean, it's rough. I mean, looking at so this is the final box score was Purdy he was 1 for 3. So you said he led that last drive. He had 124-yard completion, and then he threw the interception. So he's 1 for 3 with an interception.
What was his rushing yards though? I thought he had a couple rushes.
3 for 33 yards.
Yeah,
that's huge.
And then Harbaugh was 1 for 5, so only one completion for him. Also an interception.
He got hurt too. Like he got supposedly ankle.
Harbaugh had his one completion was for 0 yards.
Yeah.
So he had 0 yards passing the ball, and then Sims was 8 for 13 for 62 yards, 2 interceptions, and a fumble.
Sims looked really like when he I think his first 2 possessions maybe because he had 2 picks and a fumble, right? So I think he had 3 possessions. Does it tell you how many possessions he had or no? I think he had 3 possessions, right? Because we pulled him after the second pick.
Okay.
All 3 of those possessions, besides I think the fumble one, we were like, we're back. Our offense looks good. Holy shit! Like we're doing something. Like we're getting a tickle in the pickle. Like we're doing something. And then fumble, pick. See ya! Like we suck. We suck again. So it's
the most.
I hate watching this offense. I really do. I
have no pity for you because it's been
3
years. 3 years. Every year championship style defense. And the exact same issues with minus the turnovers.
I just don't get it.
Turnovers wins you games, wins you those games. Like your defense can give up 10 points and win you a game. And but you can't have turnovers on offense.
How do you not have an identity like this far into the season? Like how can you not have an identity for the past 5 years? Like, the past 5 years, what have we been? We're not an RPO team. We're not a run first. We're not a pass first. What are we? Like it is.
You had 183 rushing yards, so I don't know why they wouldn't just stick to the ground game.
I was telling that to Corey. The past 2 weeks, we've ran the ball so good, and then they just drop it like a hot potato. They're like, nope, I don't want any part of it. Like let's pass the ball. Let's try to become balanced. And then it just doesn't work. When we were running the ball so well, why not just do it? Like take us back to the 80s and 90s. Run the ball until they stop us. Until we get like 2 possessions of punt just from running the ball, then we change things up a little bit.
You guys could literally have did what we did yesterday. We had 0 pass completions and attempts technically in the second half.
Yeah.
And I'm not, and if you want to throw like a little screen or something here and there where your quarterback is not going to fucking throw a pick because you're throwing down the field, then fine, run a couple of those here and there, mix it up a bit. But if you're gashing them for yards, there's no reason to. I mean, it's college football. It's not the fucking NFL. You don't have to pass the goddamn ball.
No.
So, yeah, I don't know. That's most surprising. The most eye-popping statistic that I see when I look here, Nebraska had the ball for 46 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nebraska had the ball for 46 minutes of the game. Yeah, dude. That's so much time.
Stat of the day.
Stat of the day.
Wow. Wow. No.
Yeah.
How the fuck did you lose that game?
You're telling me like it's
And Maryland all of a sudden has one of the greatest defenses in the world?
Dude, I'm looking at it right now.
Shit, how many times was Maryland penalized?
Seconds. Nebraska was penalized 1 time for 15 yards. Maryland was penalized 10 times for 92 yards.
Yeah. So 42 minutes of possession, 92 yards.
Maryland also had 3
turnovers.
Minutes,
right? 46
minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And Maryland also had 3 turnovers.
That means you played the first, second, third, and a minute into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I feel bad for you, bud. I feel bad that you paid $10 to get that Peacock subscription just to watch Nebraska have the ball for 46 minutes and get 10 points.
I'll never watch another football game on Peacock. By the way. That is trash.
Maryland was also 0-2 on 4th down conversions. Nebraska was 2 for 3, so they did convert a couple 4th down conversions. Maryland ran 5 more plays in that 14 minutes that they had the ball.
Dude, they had negative running yards until like the third quarter, second quarter. Like negative. They had negative fucking running yards. We were doing something.
When did you lose confidence? Like, when did you think, oh, we're not winning this?
Not till the last drive, I would assume, or that pick.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I thought I didn't get swayed until Chubba threw that pick at the very end. Even with Jeff with his bamboozle shit going on, I was like, okay, we're driving. But I just don't. This is what I'm not understanding is every time this is coaching. This isn't players. Every time we get into point situation, I don't care. I want to be vanilla. I want to. If it's first and goal, Tristan Ovano needs to get his ass out there and just kick the field goal. I don't even care. I don't care.
Rule not understanding Big Ten football? Is that part of the learning?
I think it's Satterfield, but I also think Rule can override your offensive coordinator. So I don't know if he's letting his guys learn by trial and whatnot, but Matt Rule's a Big Ten guy. He played linebacker at Big Ten. Like he's been in the NFL. He's been in football for fucking ever. Like,
Well, this is a refresher course, definitely for him, because you can't do like every Big Ten team scores the way you want them. Like
I think it's Satterfield. I think he's the joke. I really do. I thought he was a fraud at South Carolina. Now, even with this Michigan shit that come out that they gave South Carolina information, I think even gives me more red flags on this piece of shit. But my big thing at the end of the year is going to be, what does Tony White do? Because I guarantee you Tony White is going to get head coaching opportunities. Our defense is got to be top 15 in the country. Maybe not. I don't know. But I feel like we're that good. He's going to get teams that are going to want him to come in and do that. He's also probably exhausted that he's working his complete butt off, and he knows that the other side of the marriage is not holding up.
But it's here's the thing. You can't burn the ship down. It's one facet that's killing you right now, and it's turnovers. It's it. And that was a facet that killed you last year and with the previous regime. Yes, with previous regimes. So it would only make sense that a culture of turnovers carried over a little bit into this new regime of coaching. And I mean, you are there on defense. You're getting there on special teams. I mean, your special teams hasn't lost you a game in a couple weeks. You know,
last week we probably against Michigan State putting out a guy that couldn't return the ball. But the last thing I'll say is I did get scared on defense because we started doing the Scott Frost tackling where we just thud you. We don't wrap up. So that's when I sent that tweet out. I said it looks like we're back to not wrap it up. I wish y'all's moms wouldn't have wrapped it up or would have wrapped it up, you know. And then I got fucking kicked off of Twitter for 24 hours. So. But I was pissed. Yeah, it's just like you could tell bad habits creep into this team from the past when shit gets because they all just think here we go again. But I love how Matt Rule has done a really good job fixing that. But that's it.
Who's your last two opponents this season?
Wisconsin and Iowa.
Shane,
we're gonna go 5-7, or
really?
Or I don't know.
You want me to guess what they're gonna do?
Yeah.
You're gonna beat Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And I don't know where's I'm gonna go whoever the home team is this year.
Nebraska's home team.
I'm giving you guys a 7-5 record.
But it's only like a 4-hour drive for the Iowa Hawkeyes, and most Hawkeye fans will be there. So it'll probably be like 60-40. Maybe 35-75.
35-75.
Or not 35-65. Math's hard.
I don't know. I mean, you need
one win.
Need one win. But I don't want it to come down to Iowa because.
Are you in Wisconsin playing that game?
Yes.
And Wisconsin has only 5 wins as well, right?
I think so, because Maryland just got bowl bound by beating us.
Do we know who Wisconsin has left on their schedule? They got you, obviously, next week, and then they finish off against Minnesota or Michigan. No, Minnesota. They finish off against Minnesota. The Brown, or isn't it some stupid
Paul Bunyan axe?
Yeah, Paul Bunyan's axe. A fictional rivalry, if I've ever seen one. They beat Minnesota, obviously. So you guys might be able to take it from Wisconsin. Is it senior day? Is it senior day in Wisconsin next week?
I think that's all of those have passed, right?
No, because senior day would be the last game of the season for you.
Oh, the last home game?
Yeah, last home game.
Oh, yeah, true.
So is that Wisconsin's last home game, and then they go to Minnesota?
I think so.
You guys don't do well on senior day.
Or homecomings. Just when there's extra juice, we come out flat.
Somebody needs to start slipping testosterone into your guys' drinking water over there in the Nebraska Cornhusker facilities.
Jesus Christ.
I believe we took steroids heavily in the 90s.
There's no way you play a game 46 minutes of possession on offense and come away with nothing. That blows my mind.
To come away with just 10 points.
Yeah.
Like 10 points, almost 50 minutes of possession time. Like, you had 5 turnovers.
Did you miss a field goal at all at any point, or?
No.
All right. So I do have some statistics here. So Mary, you brought up a good point. You said you think Nebraska is about 15th defense in the country. You're pretty close. I looked up all 3 of our teams. So we'll start with Nebraska. 17th in the country in total yards allowed per game.
Wow.
4th in the country in rush yards allowed per game. 17th in the country in points allowed per game. And this is your worst one, 68th in the country in passing yards allowed per game.
That's a big one.
Yep.
Iowa, and we'll get to your game here next. Iowa's 8th in the country in yards allowed per game. They're 25th in the country in rushing yards allowed per game. 3rd in the country in points allowed per game. And 10th in the country in passing yards allowed per game. So
hot damn.
So Michigan, 1st in the country in yards allowed per game.
Phil Parker, or Norm Parker.
No, you're good. So we're 1st in the country in yards allowed per game, 13th in the country in rush yards allowed per game, 1st in the country in points allowed per game, and 1st in the country in passing yards allowed per game.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was telling Corey, because y'all's red zone defense numbers are like 9%. You hold like, can you look that up to verify? I know it's something bizarre, and the next closest team is like a whole 22 points difference.
That's crazy.
What you guys are like.
Let me see.
And the thing with Michigan, man, is, I mean, I don't know, man. It's
with those numbers,
Iowa allowed less points than Michigan allowed. Iowa's defense is, I mean, you got to consider that's with Iowa's defense being out there all the time.
Yeah.
And they're still putting up that numbers. If we had any semblance of offense, and really our
You'd
only
be at the top.
It's a number. It'd be Michigan 1, Iowa 2, and that would be 2 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be 2 years in a row. Our defense is that solid. So
with a whole bunch of whites out there, which I love.
No.
I mean, that's
not
Jesus
true.
Christ. Jesus Christ. There'll be a whole bunch of whites out there.
Just Cooper Regime, baby.
I mean, it's that whole defensive unit though is very well disciplined and well coached. There's no better coach than Phil Parker when it comes to defenses. And then
he's a stud, because that'll be interesting when Kirk probably leaves. If he leaves after this year, what do you do with Phil? Like, because he's not young, right?
No, he is young. He's younger than Kirk by. Kirk coached with his dad.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I keep getting it mixed up.
Yeah, so Phil's probably, I don't know, mid-50s, late 50s. Yeah, mid-50s is where I'd put him at. So he's got solid, but he has no desire to be head coach from what we've been told. Different insider talk. He's just very content pumping out a great defense. And I it'll be interesting to see what happens with Kirk. Kirk says he's coming back next year. It definitely feels like he might debate that decision after the season's over. I mean, the guy's emotional. There's a strong possibility now that we go 10-2 with an 11-1 team, and then definitely no chance of winning in a Big Ten championship. We're already Big Ten West champions. The worst that could happen is we become co-champion. So one more win makes us Big Ten. So very well could choose to lose to Nebraska.
You go out there and you represent us.
So
we will. I'm slightly hoping for Ohio State. I'm just gonna be honest.
Come get that Michigan taste.
I want we did that a couple of years ago, and it's the worst fucking possible matchup ever. Because here's what happened.
I'm not gonna be the only motherfucker sitting in here getting that taste.
Do you honestly think does Iowa have a better chance against Michigan or Ohio State?
Ohio State.
Ohio State 100%. For sure. Ohio State's fake as fuck.
Well, Ohio State's not fake, and they have depth and talent, but our defense would challenge Ohio State much more so because we're built on contain and zone, where if Michigan decides to run against us starting in the second quarter, they'll win that game because our D-line is not deep enough and our linebackers are not big enough and
I also think our D-line will give you more of a challenge than Ohio State.
Yeah. Deacon Hill would have no time to fucking throw against Michigan's defense, especially on edge rushing. where is our weakest point. So I think, but Ohio State, I see that game coming down to fourth quarter, 8 minutes left. Ohio State probably could pull away on that. But in those types of games where you get down and dirty with your opponent, like we would with Ohio State, it puts us in the best possibility to win because our special teams is where it needs to be. And
any team that's going to represent the West is going to want to play Ohio State because they know that they're beatable. And it's just the matchups, even though the West is kind of an ugly mess with the offenses and whatnot, every team thinks that they can beat Ohio State. Not every team thinks they can beat Michigan because nobody has. So
I think it's just the way you play too. You think when someone just runs the ball 85% of the time on you and they're like, hey, we're bigger than you, we're just gonna fucking run it on you. I think that's more of like a fuck, how do we stop that rather than like maybe we can stop the pass. If we can cover Marvin Harrison Jr., maybe we have a shot. I think that's a little bit of the difference.
Ohio State can run the ball. Don't get me wrong, but they are going to look for Ibuka and Harrison Jr. 1 and 2 all day, which is a travesty because that running back they have for Ohio State, he's good.
And would you love to see Cooper DeJean matched up against Marvin Harrison? I mean, what a great fucking matchup that would be. And I'm curious.
I would rent that adult film. I would watch that all day.
So I found why our red zone defense looks a little bit more inflated than it actually is. So we are ranked number 1 in red zone defense, and Iowa is ranked number 6, actually. Iowa is the next so the reason ours is inflated is because we have only had 14 red zone attempts all season. The next closest is 22. So the next closest team has had teams in the red zone 8 more times than us. And most of the teams on this list, like there's some teams on this list that have had their red zone defense has been in. Utah State is ranked 48th. I don't see Nebraska on here, but Utah State is ranked 48th, and they've had teams in their red zone 50 times.
Jeez.
So yeah, so there's that. I think that's why we're number 1 because we don't let teams get to the red zone. You've had teams in the red zone 22 times, and you've allowed 15 red zone scores. 15, 7 field goals, 7 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. We've allowed only 3 touchdowns in our 14 attempts.
10 points a game is what our defense has really given up, essentially.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's where we're at. So let's get to the Iowa game. It's the last one we haven't talked about. And then I have some college basketball stuff I want to mention since this is a Big Ten podcast, not just a football podcast.
What do you guys want to know about Iowa, the Iowa game?
Where did Rutgers go wrong?
Yeah, because I really thought Rutgers was going to make it competitive. I did not think
I did too.
They would come out there. And,
I thought they were going to lose. To be honest, I went out there thinking Iowa was going to lose this game because we know our offense can't.
I think we both picked Rutgers, didn't we?
I like to think I picked Iowa, but I think I can't remember.
I might have persuaded you. I couldn't remember.
Yeah. I persuaded you into a bunch of football picks last week.
Yeah.
It was a rough week. No, Iowa, I think, first of all, Iowa 0 penalties this game. Which is huge.
Disciplined football.
And we've been sloppy last couple weeks on penalties, which really killed offensive drives. That there was completions, and then you go from 3rd and 2 to 3rd and 7, and then it was at Kinnick, and it was loud. They had 6 false starts in the north end zone. That's huge too. Like just what we discussed with Iowa and their penalties, and that was a killer for Rutgers. And then their 3rd down conversion was, I think they had 2 3rd down conversions yesterday to Iowa's 9, and then we we started throwing to wide receivers too. And our tight ends, we've been talking all year about our tight ends. All 4 of them are NFL tight ends. 2 are young, obviously, a lot younger than the all. And oh man, I can't even think of the guy that got injured earlier this year. Makes me a horrible person, but they're, he showed his ability today or yesterday. I think I can't remember how many receptions he had. And then the fact we had, the biggest thing probably was the fact we were able to run against Rutgers, because then it opened up us allowing Deacon to get in a rhythm, make some decent short yardage throws. And then we averaged, what was it? 7.2 yards per pass, which I haven't seen that stat in a minute. Like 7.2 yards per pass it has to have been at least a year and a half, maybe even 2 years since Iowa's had that type.
I mean, that's what you want. That's what you want, because that's 2 yards. That's 2 plays to do very little lifting. I mean,
yeah, and our O-line has really gelled, despite all. I mean, we've had a lot of injuries on offense too. Like, that is fair to say. Between our 2 tight ends, 3 linemen have been injured on Iowa, and yet and I don't know much about Rutgers D-line, but they didn't look good against Iowa. So, obviously Penn State, we got to keep going back and reminding myself of the Penn State game, because Penn State made us look silly. I think it was like 31-0, first shutout in 20 some years Iowa had ever been a part of. So, I don't want to get too excited. It was a win against Rutgers, a good win. Our offense still only scored 15 points. So, it's better, but it's still
400 total yards. I mean,
we had a couple of really nice long drives, which I hadn't seen, a bunch of nickel and diming, and then Deacon threw an interception. So that was his only turnover of the game, but it was to the end zone, So, okay. All right.
What's the time of possession on that game for Iowa with that many?
The Iowa time of possession was 21 minutes to 38 minutes, Iowa favor. So
you had it for 38 minutes?
Yeah, we had it for which is, I think,
37-36. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm on ESPN's, but
so 400 yards for 37 minutes. That's
and 223 passing yards and 179 rushing yards. So almost 4 yards a carry in rushing attempts. And Rutgers didn't play sloppy football. They had 7 penalties, but 6 of them were false starts. And they were all at key moments. And you watch interviews of NFL players talking about their college career, and every single one of those guys in the Big Ten mentioned Kinnick. And the reason Kinnick is so frustrating is you can't hear crap because the people are literally 5 feet away from you, just going bananas.
What section is your student section, or what end zone is your student section in?
It is on the, I believe, west. I believe it's on the west. Or no, I'm sorry. It's north end. It's on the north end. Yeah, it's on the north end, which is loudest. It's just loud, and
is that where the penalties were coming from?
Yeah, and the punts, of course our punting game was good, so we were pinning them back into that north end zone. And this is, we take it for granted because we just know how bad it is, especially once it gets dark out there, and the lights come on. It's it's true. It's true. No hospital kids jumped from their beds today. So after watching Hawkeye football offense,
that's a win.
That's a win for everyone.
And now they actually let Deacon Hill through the sliding doors at the hospital. They're like, okay, you can come in now. You come in. You're not going to kill these kids anymore. You can come inside.
Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was a good win by Iowa. Very dominant win. And
and we needed one.
Will they roll that into next week?
Yep.
They have another home game against Illinois, who did play a really good offensive game against
Uh,
Indiana.
Illinois, this is the last 2 games, and I have no confidence in the Iowa program to produce points enough to win.
Illinois sucks, my guy. Illinois, yeah, they look good this Saturday.
There's this personal vendetta between Illinois
Big OB
and Bielema and the University of Iowa. So there's definitely more to this game as far as the coaching aspect of it. And Ferentz is very emotional right now. So it's, I don't know if it's just like he knows he's down to the last 2 games to coach with his boy, or if it's,
but goddamn, Brian's not dying. He's just getting let go. Like, you're going to still be able to see him.
And what makes more sense to me is like maybe this is his last hoorah, and he's just quiet about it. He did come out and say it wasn't, though. So I don't know what to make of his emotions. But emotional Kirk is good for Iowa football because those kids rally when Kirk gets emotional. And if there is a strong possibility Iowa goes 10-2 here, and I'm just afraid to get my hopes up for it because they've already disappointed me enough. I just want to enjoy the surprise wins when we get them. I really want to beat Nebraska. Obviously, I want Nebraska to go bowling so we can beat them.
That's fair.
I actually saw a breakdown yesterday that there's a real possibility that Iowa goes bowling again against Kentucky this year, and you get another rematch against Kentucky,
which is a Stoops. There's a Stoops guy.
So
I don't know if you know anything about the Stoops family and the Hawkeyes, but big lover of Hawkeyes over there. So it's sort of funny. We always end up playing goddamn Stoops wherever we go.
It's just like, I'm going to check in from afar with the team that I love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's also a possibility that Iowa could be put into the college football playoff. Rumors going across there. If Iowa goes 11-2, and the committee views
after what happened, I hate to say it, Penn State squashed that. 0 chance they put a team who got shut into the playoffs.
I mean, but
a one-loss Michigan or Ohio State team makes it in over them.
If we put a 50 burger on Michigan,
if Texas finishes with only 1 loss,
the team that's going to get bamboozled here is Florida State. They're going to go undefeated, win the ACC, and they're going to be like, "Your team's a joke."
No, they'll put them in.
Not if they go undefeated.
They'll put them in. Here's what's going to happen.
So if Oregon beats Washington, you think Florida State is going to?
I think both.
I mean, I get if they're undefeated, but damn, like.
No, I think if Oregon beats Washington in the Pac-12 championship, both of them make it.
So that's 2.
Georgia and the winner of OSU Michigan, assuming that they obviously win the Big Ten championship.
So yeah, Florida State. So Florida State is getting hosed.
Oh, then Florida State will get in over whoever loses the Pac-12 championship.
Because they're saying that the Pac-12 and the SEC could somehow bring in 2 people. And I said, y'all are out of your fucking minds. Like,
no, that won't happen. I think if Oregon beats Washington in that final game and they beat them by a hefty amount, since they only lost by 3 in Washington, I think they have a good chance of winning it. I think honestly the Pac-12 is going to come down to now. If Florida State loses any game, 1 loss Oregon, 1 loss Washington, they're going to put in over 1 loss Florida State.
That's where Alabama will sneak in. If Florida State loses,
goddamn Alabama, dude!
I swear,
they will.
Alabama in there. It was a quality win against LSU.
But Bama needs to beat Bama needs to beat Georgia in the SEC to get, I think, to really solidify that.
They are capable of doing.
Here's what happens. Bama loses next week to Chattanooga.
It's a joke that the SEC is still playing cupcake games this late in the year.
Yes.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I would love to play Saramusen School of Blind next week for a 6th win in Lincoln. I would love it. I'll pay them $3 million to come into our university just to beat them. Like,
Jesus.
Get out of
I
here.
could just see Matt Rule at the end of the game giving a press conference like those blind kids put up a good fight, but
Yeah.
we only
Glad we snuck that one out.
we only scored 88 on them, and fucking. So there were some other good games yesterday, some blowouts. I guess we'll run through the top 25 real quick.
All right. Yep.
Alabama blew out Kentucky. That was expected. Kansas upset by Texas Tech in their home stadium. That was a little bit surprising. Tulsa, who is also ranked, or Tulane, I'm sorry, beat Tulsa. May, your boy Deion Sanders lost again.
Good. I love
Devin was
Arizona.
at that game.
34-31.
Devin was?
Was he?
He would be at that game.
Is he a Colorado fan?
He's a fake Colorado fan. Yeah.
Has he always been a Colorado fan or just this season?
Probably just this season.
May wants to beat blind kids. Jesus Christ. So Kansas State beat up on Baylor. Florida State narrowly escaped Miami. They beat
Florida State's not good.
They won
Florida
by
State is not
they are
Florida State's
they are
still
a
hurt.
10-0 team.
Yeah, they're still hurt on offense. I think they're still lost their 2 wide receivers.
I think the most surprising was Oklahoma State just getting absolutely just
boat raced,
bent over yesterday by UCF. Dude, what?
They put all their cards into that Oklahoma game.
Oh my gosh, 45.
Missouri. I picked that with Missouri over Tennessee.
And you know what this does? You know what I really think this does? I think the Big 12 has done it again. I think they've beaten themselves so badly that they've lost all chance of any of their teams making the playoffs.
I heard that
Texas
yesterday.
looked great. Texas beat Alabama, right? So Texas is like, oh my God, they're so good. Then they lose to Oklahoma. Now Oklahoma's lost 2 or 3 games, so they're out of the race no matter what. Then Oklahoma loses to this Oklahoma State team. Oklahoma State loses to UCF. It's like, how can you reasonably put this Texas team in there with that?
What is it? The Kevin Bacon game? That's what the Big 12 is. It's just like
there's no, in my opinion, there's no possibility a Big 12 team makes it into the playoffs this year after what's happened in their conference.
100% agree.
I'm sure your Tennessee fans were silent after yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything from them little cocksuckers. I just
36.
Missouri looks good.
They do.
They do.
That Missouri squad, I was just like, ooh.
Washington beat Utah. That was a good win by them. Good win.
That was a great game. I watched a lot of that.
Yep. Washington, I think the problem they're going to have is defense.
Yep.
That's going to be their problem. Oregon State put up a 60 burger on Stanford. Utah put up 52 on Mississippi. Oklahoma beat West Virginia. LSU beat up on Florida. Texas barely beat TCU. They still won, but they barely did. North Carolina went to double overtime against Duke and pulled out a win. And then at the end of the night, Crybaby Williams lost to Bo Nix. So
Bo Nix.
Did you see the
Bo Nix,
the stat line? The stat line for Jaden Daniels in that LSU game. I want to say he's like the first quarterback. He had some crazy stat about
372 and 3 touchdowns.
You know who also impresses me is that LSU quarterback.
Yeah,
when he's in the game.
Oh my God! So the LSU quarterback Daniels he was 17 for 26 for 372 yards and 3 touchdowns. He ran the ball 12 times for 234 yards.
Yeah,
Lamar
with 2 additional touchdowns.
Just to think, he was straight butt cheeks at Arizona State a couple years ago.
I bet the Gators were all the way home to the loss. So rough one for them. So yeah,
put up a fight. I mean, they were definitely putting up a fight. Their defense, though, just couldn't keep up. You got a bad defense already, and you're going to be strained in your weak spots. It just starts to be bad football.
I can't. Yeah, and LSU. Every time LSU looks good, it just makes Florida State and Alabama's wins over them look better.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, any more football?
Man, last 2 weeks. This is the money time.
Last 2 weeks. So May and I did chat after one podcast a couple weeks ago after you left about if we would continue doing basketball. If you guys wanted to hop on, do like maybe 30-minute weekly basketball updates if you're interested. I have some basketball statistics for today since we did start our season on the 6th. It's been about almost a week of basketball.
I mean, it's Big Ten. It's Big Ten related.
It is Big Ten related,
promise that,
and then when Nebraska wins the volleyball championship, we'll talk about that too.
I don't know if I can commit to watching Iowa play basketball.
You don't have to commit to watch, but maybe just follow along with the season.
I could follow the women's basketball. Caitlin Clark,
she's pretty
good.
Did they lose the other day?
I don't know. I don't follow the women's. All I know is that Angel Reese from LSU, the one who's talking about.
They got beat by CU.
Yeah, they lost to Colorado. Yeah, you know what they called it here? They called it the Dion effect.
Oh, here we go.
Dion apparently is affecting women's basketball now.
Maybe his football players are. But,
So, the Big Ten on opening night started off 8-2. We were the worst power conference to start the opening night. The number 4th ranked team in the country, Michigan State, was upset by James Madison. Rutgers lost to Princeton, both in home games, might I add.
Yep.
Michigan State hadn't lost a home game in over 20 years in their opening night. They lost one against James Madison.
Did that bring you joy?
No, it's Izzo's fault because Izzo is always like, I hate my teams. He come out and said he loved this team. This team is one of his favorites that he's coached. And then boom.
So in that opening game, they shot 1 for 20 from 3. They were at the end of the game. He said, "I have no leadership," and everyone played bad. Pretty much just roasted his team at the end of the game. So we had the Big Ten started out with only 3 teams in the top 25. Purdue was ranked 3rd, Michigan State was ranked 4th, and Illinois was ranked 25th. We had 3 additional teams that were ranked just outside, and the next 19 teams to receive a vote for the top 25. They were Wisconsin, Maryland, and Indiana. All 3 of those teams had received votes. All 3 of those teams lost. Michigan State lost, and obviously the.
I thought you said we went 8-2. Did you mean we went 2-8?
That was opening. That was opening.
Oh.
Opening night, we were 8-2. Since then, 5 of our 6 teams either in the top 25 or had votes for the top 25 have lost now. So they're all 1-1. Nebraska, Iowa, and Michigan are all undefeated still, 2-0.
Hell yeah!
Just go Hawks.
Yep. So 2-0. And I just wanted to mention that not a hot start with the Big Ten. Unfortunately, Purdue is probably going to be our best shot at winning a championship for the first time in 23 years.
But they'll beat up on each other like they always do. Like it'll.
Yep. Purdue's highly favored to run away with the Big Ten this year. The rest of us are kind of just.
Now you know way more about basketball when it comes to the Big Ten. What is your feeling on Iowa's basketball program this year? Just mid tier. I don't know anything about them.
Top 50, top 60 program, but it would surprise me if they cracked the top 25 this season.
McCaffrey's a good coach.
Mainly because
or whatever.
Yes, yeah, and mainly because Fred McCaffrey. Mainly because they all play each other. They all play this. The Big Ten is just a gauntlet of teams. So the Big Ten is one of those conferences that every year we get like 8 teams into the dance. We get 8 teams into the NCAA tournament. But of those 8 teams, there's like 1 or 2 that people actually expect to go far. Last year, we got embarrassed because Purdue was a number 1 seed and they lost to a 16th seed, Fairleigh Dickinson, only for the second time in history that's ever happened. So that was rough. And the rest of our conference, like I said, we haven't won one since 2000 when Izzo took Michigan State to a victory, and then Michigan got there in 2015. They lost to that Villanova team that was really good with Jay Wright. So, I mean, honestly, I think coming into the season, people really only expected Purdue and Michigan State to be the teams that are going to go there. Through 2 games, Michigan State has shown that they can't shoot threes. They're like 2 for 35 from 3 through 2 games.
I mean, it's possible just a bad day. I mean, that's
2 games. 2 games they've had now.
Yeah,
that's through 2 games. They're 2 for 35 from 3 and through 2 games.
Oh no.
So they came in saying this is going to be one of our best teams in a long time. And now if you're going to put money on a team to make the NCAA tournament, minus Kansas, I would put money on Michigan State because they've made it. They have the longest. I think Tom Izzo has the longest streak of any active head coach. He's made it for like over 20 years. He's made it every single year. So if you're going to put money on it, put it on Michigan State, obviously Kansas. But yeah, that's not a big opening night not a big opening week, I would say, for the Big Ten. Not looking
Big Ten, man. They just always struggle. Football, we beat each other up. And then basketball.
And you know what's even sadder this year is a lot of people think the SEC might be the best team conference in basketball, and it's been a while since that's been true.
Oh, I hear
The
that.
SEC has a lot of good teams coming out this year, and a lot of people think they're going to be fighting.
I mean, they have athletic teams, but like, who's going to make a resurgence in there? I mean, is Tennessee going to be better than just a flash in the pan where they get hot and they lose to somebody, or is Florida going to regain their basketball prominence like they used to be? Like Auburn, you got all these teams. They're athletic, yes. Like Arkansas used to be good. They used to be competitive in the SEC. Like,
so Arkansas has been good the last 3 years. They made 2 Elite Eights and then a Sweet 16 last year. Alabama's supposed to be really good under Dana. Kentucky's supposed to be better this year than they have been the last couple of years. Tennessee, the team that I think is going to be the best in the SEC is going to be Texas A&M. Actually, Texas A&M went 15-3 in the SEC last year, and they brought back every starter from last year's team.
Who's the head coach for A&M?
Texas A&M's head coach is I know his name. What's his name? Let me look it up. It's eluding me right now. But yeah, they went 15-3 last year in the SEC, and they brought every starter back from that team. And they do have the best win of the conference so far. They beat Ohio State in an away game, and Ohio State was actually favored in that game. So they're looking pretty good. And I think the SEC will be really good. The Big East will obviously be really, really good. I think the Big 12 will probably be the best. It's freaking Buzz Williams. That's who it is. Buzz Williams is the coach for Texas A&M. So yeah, I think the Big Ten will probably be like the 4th or 5th best conference this year. We're not going to be fighting for the top.
What's the game of the week for basketball that you're looking forward to?
Game of this week for basketball? Well, we should do this for football too. What do we think the game of the week next week for football is going to be?
In the Big Ten or all together?
I mean, we could do both. It's up to you guys if you want to do that.
Let's do both.
You guys looked at any of the games next week?
Let's do both. I'm looking it up right now. Week 11.
Week 12.
Week 12. Sorry.
Week 12. So for basketball, I'll probably hold off on doing Big 12 games just because, or Big 10 games. I mean, just because we don't play each other yet. Like with the Big 12, the Big 10 doesn't play each other yet.
Right.
I guess I'll do 2 games for basketball. So this one I would have said was definitely going to be number 1. There's really kind of 3 games that are really good. So Duke at Michigan State. Technically, it's a rank 2 versus a rank 4, but Michigan State's obviously going to drop in rank once the new rankings come out. So this probably won't be a top 4 team for Michigan State anymore, but that'll be a good one. Marquette is ranked 5th. Illinois is ranked 25th. Marquette travels to Illinois to play this game. That'll be a good one. And then the other one is Kansas, who's ranked number 1, plays at Kentucky, who's ranked 16th. So those are
why do they do that to each other right off the rip? I mean, I guess so you can rebound, a little better throughout the season.
I like the way they do that, just to give a little bit of interest in the games. My, I guess, runner-up game that I really like, though, just for some mid-major madness is what I like to call it. Are we doing all the way through Saturday, I guess, is how we would do that.
Yeah.
So we have St. Mary's travels to San Diego State. San Diego State did make the championship game last year. So San Diego State travels to St. Mary's. That's a 17 versus 23 matchup. That's also a really good one. So figured I'd go ahead and give an honorable mention for
All right.
that game as well.
Let's see here. So we have got Colorado playing Washington State on the
Next year?
Friday. Yep, Friday, November 17th.
Okay.
I just like to talk about Colorado because they got what, 4 wins? Only 4 wins.
Yeah.
I'm saying Colorado is going to definitely.
And then Dion gets pissed that they play football at 9:30 at night. He's like, "This is a travesty. What is this? We're gonna play on Friday."
Jesus.
I think the funnest game.
He got so pissed 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? When they played on a Friday or a Thursday or whatever.
Something
He was
like
like,
that,
"What
And
the
it's
fuck
in
is
Washington.
this?"
They got travel to Washington. Welcome to college football, bud. I would say the funnest game in the Big Ten to watch is going to be Purdue and Northwestern. I know it has real I mean, it does have some significance, I guess, but I think it's going to be a little bit of a shootout. That's my, and close. Could go to overtime. So I think that would be the funnest game to watch. Michigan's going to trounce Maryland.
There are some outside the Big Ten.
Yeah, there's 2 good games.
Washington at Oregon State and Kansas State at Kansas, maybe.
Tennessee at Georgia, depending on what Tennessee team shows up. But
and then Utah at Arizona. Those are all 4 pretty decent games.
Big Ten implication game, UCLA at USC. That would just be fun to watch because that tradition's carrying over next year into the Big Ten.
And both of those teams have been trashed lately, so.
Yeah. But I think they're for the West, like the teams in the West right now. I think all of them play UCLA and some of them play USC. If I remember the next year's schedule. So
who's going to be the first team to lose to the Bruins?
Northwestern, Purdue, Iowa.
Nebraska plays them.
Nebraska.
I just hope someone else goes first. Although we've played, Nebraska is no slouch to play in, like Oregon, UCLA. I don't know if we've, in my lifetime, if I remember them playing UCLA, but I know we've played Oregon before, when Callahan was there in Lincoln. So, but Chip Kelly, UCLA, interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, my favorite game is going to be Utah-Arizona. That's just Arizona's my new favorite team of this year. So
yeah, and they barely squeaked out that win.
Yeah, it was crappy. Like it was on the Pac-12 network. Like you still have that on TV. Like just put that on regular TV. Like I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like
my personal favorite game next week is going to be Minnesota versus Ohio State. I'm going to enjoy. I'll probably just sit there and watch the sidelines as PJ Fleck has his soul ripped from his body.
Now, what if Minnesota pulls the upset off?
It's not going to happen.
Imagine.
I can't.
Corey's just hating for fucking PJ and his. Just going to run out there real fast.
It's all about me.
Yeah.
I've been here 7 years and nothing to show for it.
Wouldn't it be cool though if you could almost, I don't know if you would pay a subscription, but you could watch the coach's cam and it just follows PJ, it just follows any coach you want. You just,
or just have
great.
The GoPro attached to his headset. You know what pisses me off? It's little things about PJ Fleck. It's like when the game was about to end, it was last week's game, whoever they played. And he's got his headset and his little thing that's attached to his belt that's covered by his sweater. And he leaned forward and slightly pulled his shirt backwards, holding his arm back, and then let some guy all unhook it from him. That's the little things I hate about PJ Fleck. It's like you couldn't unclip it, PJ. You got to get someone to go into your pants and take it off for you.
That's technically their job, the way PJ looks at it.
He's also got someone to, has someone to hold it while he pisses. So,
I mean, this guy, row your boat somewhere else.
I just hate it. It's like the row thing, and they're gophers. Like I just don't.
Yeah, it's because
it doesn't make any sense to me.
You just have to completely ignore the fact there's no such thing as a golden gopher, and shoot for North Minnesota activities such as rowing canoes in the lakes.
Lewis and Clark and Sacagawea.
No, that's Minnesota is 10,000 lakes. They got
yeah, but I just
you row your canoe. I guess that's it's Minnesota, man. Like I don't like to call those people what they truly are, but they're special. They're special. So I'm glad they got their fake win over Iowa this year. It's the one thing they can hang their hat on since they're not going bowling.
Who's not going bowling?
Minnesota. They don't have 6 wins, do they?
I think they have 5.
Yeah. They're not going bowling. They're going to lose to Ohio State, and then they're going to lose to Wisconsin.
Where are they? Can't see it.
You see the God damn it, I love it when you update the banners. Screw you, PJ.
Be hilarious if we had him on as a guest one day.
Oh, I would
Would
not
you
attend.
professionally grill him?
No, because he's too dense. So it would just that bald head, every insult and fact that doesn't suit who he is, just sort of bounces off the top of his dome, and he doesn't even register with him. So like all he can think about is the best type of interview to have with PJ Fleck is where you just ask him one question about himself, and then he tells you his life story, and you don't have to say anything for the next 2 hours. So I think that's probably the best way to interview PJ. Just make it about him and his trials and tribulations and his victimhood over there in Minnesota. I'm sure he'll be glad to
the
talk.
battle of being bald and working in cold states.
First of all, there was baldism I had to deal with, and whatever tiny ass community college you started in.
I think Western Michigan is where he got his notice from, right?
Was that where he came from?
Yeah. But enough about PJ Fleck.
Yeah.
Hopefully he takes that Minnesota or Michigan State job and just gets fucking bamboozled.
And the thing is you could
that's
see
a lateral move. I don't know why you would do that.
No, I'd honestly rather stay at Minnesota than go to Michigan State.
Yeah. Like that the move with Stoops, like is that a lateral move from Kentucky to Iowa, or is that an upgrade? I think you and I talked about this
lateral move. It's a lateral move. And to build, what he's doing in Kentucky is what Iowa did in the early 2000s, really building a brand. They're not winning their big games yet, but they are winning games, and they play sound football, and eventually that leads to you winning games. So, I think why would you change that mid-course when you've already half built it here,
Yeah.
His brother might though. I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to. Yeah, I'm excited to see what end of the season brings. Who's getting fired for sure this year? Any clear cut in the Big Ten? The end of the year, who's getting fired? No one's getting fired.
No, I mean maybe no, because all these coaches are. I mean, they're not new, but it's like. Franklin might, if Penn State gets tired of his fucking shenanigans, but who do you replace him with? Indiana is going to keep Tom Allen, right? Or whatever the fuck his name is, because, he's pretty much been there forever now. Illinois just brought in Bielema, 2 years ago? So he ain't going anywhere. PJ, if he gets let go, it's on his own accord. He chose to do that. Northwestern will hire the intern.
You don't think Minnesota wants to fire PJ if they don't go bowling?
No.
Really?
He's turned that team into competitive, relevant. They used to be garbage. Like
At the end of the season, though, if they don't go bowling, that's garbage.
Yeah, but it's
Or do you have sympathy for teams that don't go bowling? Okay, is that what you're telling me?
I hang out with those dwellers. I'm like, it's okay. I love you. I love you.
We can watch bowl games together.
Yeah. Uncle Chris loves you. Come here. Come here. I love you.
I've been here for 10 years.
Do you ever
remember Shane not going bowling?
No.
fucking this is why you're hated. I just want you to know, not you as a person, but you as a Wolverine associated with Michigan Wolverines. Nobody likes you.
Well, like I just noticed, I went to high school with a kid, diehard Michigan, everything. Detroit Red Wings all the way to the goddamn Lions, Michigan, everything. Now he's a Tennessee person, and I'm like, you downgraded. Like, why would you give up your fandom in Michigan?
Was he was he a state fan or a blue fan?
No, he's a Wolverines fan. Like, we watched the Nebraska-Michigan bowl game, the Alamo Bowl, fucking 10, 15 years ago, whenever the fuck that was now.
Was that the last bowl you went to?
No, I think I went to the last bowl game, and that was in Nashville, and we played Tennessee, and Tennessee beat the dog snot out of Nebraska.
Now, will you not go to this bowl game? Because
I will go to this bowl game.
Even if it curses your team for another 6 years? Because obviously you're going to the last bowl game, and then I'm never going again.
You can't put that on me, but the only way I don't go to this bowl game is if it's in Detroit, somewhere where I don't feel safe. Like I don't mean to shit on Detroit, but
I could imagine Detroit being any safer than when the Huskers are playing there. Who's going to rob a bunch of Huskers?
So you're saying go?
Yeah, you might as well go to Detroit. If it's in Detroit, I'll go with you. I will go to a Husker bowl game before I've even gone to a Hawkeye bowl game.
Yeah, it's just like I'm hoping it's in Nashville, but if we can't fucking pull out 2 more wins, we ain't going anything. So, or just 1 win in 2 games.
I think you guys can. I think you guys got a shot. You got a shot. I'm rooting for you. 6-6, 6-6. Hey, you could go 7-5. You could. Iowa is iffy.
I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'd like to go to a bowl game though, for real. Like I'd like to actually go to it in person.
It would be a experience.
Because I was going to go to that Maryland game, and I'm kind of glad I didn't because it was cold and windy.
If Nebraska plays in Detroit, we'll all go.
There's no bowl game in Detroit, is there?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's the Tire Lube 3000 or something. The Automotive Oil Change Bowl. There's some kind of bowl there in Detroit. They play it at Ford Field.
What promise have I made? God damn it. I swear to God, if they end up going to Detroit, I'm going to be so pissed at you.
We're all going to fly to Detroit and watch a game.
Fuck that, I'm driving. I'll have to probably bring the old lady.
What?
My hope is...
This is a business trip. You can't bring family on a business trip.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I'd like it to be in either Nashville or Florida, to be honest with you, because the weather won't be as shit. So,
So before we get out of here, I got one more thing. Do you guys know about how many total wins your programs have? And how many bowl games you've been to in the entirety of your program?
I mean, did you know this before looking this shit up? Because now I'm going to feel retarded.
No, the only thing that I knew is that we're number 1 in wins. That's the only thing I knew.
Okay, I'm going to say entirety of program.
So I can give you
number of wins.
I'll give you Michigan's, and it'll give you an idea of where to kind of where to start. So all I know is that we're number 1, Ohio State's number 2. So we are 973 wins right now. and we have 134 seasons played. Iowa has 125 seasons played, so you have 9 less seasons, and then Nebraska has 124 seasons played, so you have 10 less seasons. It's actually quite a disparity between some of these.
God, so
I have a feeling Iowa's is lower than Nebraska's.
You would be correct.
and does it start with a 3, or are we in like the 4s?
Well, Michigan has 973.
Yeah, but we have 10 less seasons, right?
10 less seasons, but yours is, I'll give you this. Nebraska starts with an 8.
God, damn! We back.
Iowa starts with a 6.
Okay.
675.
I'm gonna say 862.
882 for the Huskers. Oh, actually, it says adjusted record 883. Iowa's is 662.
Oh, 3 off.
Iowa 12 conference championships, Nebraska 43 conference championships, Michigan 44 conference championships. But Nebraska's been to the most bowls, 53 bowl games for Nebraska, 50 for Michigan, 35 for Iowa. 1 Heisman winner for Iowa, 3 Heisman winners for Michigan, 3 Heisman winners for Nebraska. Thought that was just interesting.
Our last Heisman winner, I think, was 1927, 29. Niall Kinnick, of which the stadium is named after, and of which the Minnesota Gods upset on.
Yep, Niall Kinnick, 1939.
39. Yeah.
7 championships for
World
Michigan,
War II.
5 for Nebraska, and how many for Iowa? You know,
What did you say?
Championships.
For, 1.
Yes, good job. There is one in there.
1959.
It was
58.
Yeah, 58.
Oh!
58.
Was it in swimming?
I think it was against Notre Dame.
Let me see. 1958.
I think you're right. Or Clemson? No.
I don't know who we beat.
Let's see. Iowa's last great champion. That's what the article says.
Oh, we should make a movie about it.
And then she said they should make a movie about it.
Yeah.
Why is Ferentz listed in this? Somehow this article roped Kirk Ferentz into it.
He's our last great chance at another national championship.
Apparently, dude. What if they
You
told
won
you
the
that?
Rose Bowl
This is the
38
best
to
it'll ever
12
get.
versus
Against
California.
Was that it?
California?
The coach was Forrest
It was
Abashashasti.
Cal. I guess it was, yeah.
I'll
That's what I'm
take it.
looking at.
Yeah, it's
I'll
on the
take it.
record. It doesn't matter anymore. Hey, just like
Wait.
we have 1901, 1902, 1903, and 1904, we still take those.
Yeah, absolutely. And Iowa has been they went through a really bad period in the 60s, 70s, into the 80s, which accounts for why we have less wins than Nebraska. And then Hayden Fry turned that program around. And when the Hayden Fry program came in, I think we beat number 1 Michigan in 85, destroyed their dreams at a national championship with Chuck Long. And, we've done that. That's pretty consistent behavior. We do that quite often last 40 years. When we won the Big Ten championship under Kirk Ferentz, I think that we beat you guys in the Big House. It was the biggest. I think it was the biggest spread that Michigan had ever been beaten by in their house up to that point in time. I think it was 04, 05. Michigan had. I remember having roses in my team's mouth in the Big House celebrating our trip to the Rose Bowl. So just real beautiful memories with Iowa and Michigan.
I really hope we play you guys this year in the championship game.
I don't want it. I don't want it. I want to lose to Ohio State. Please let me lose to Ohio State.
All right, I need to go take medicine and probably go back to sleep.
All right.
Yeah.
Have a good.
See you, boys.
Are we good?
Play fake. Beathard sets up deep in the pocket. Goes down the field for Smith.
Have some time.